7 foods you are not allowed to eat in the USA. The home of the brave, the land of the free, the country of forbidden goods. Okay, the last one I just made up, but it's accurate. There's a lot of food and drink that Americans are just not allowed to eat. But we're gonna look at them anyway, from a rich person's treat to the ultimate energy drink. Let's take a closer look at 7 foods you are not allowed to eat in the USA. Number 7. Horse meat. I'm so hungry, I could eat a horse, says the old phrase. Of course, even if you were that hungry, you couldn't actually eat a horse. Not that I think you don't have the appetite. I mean practically. It's probably very difficult to find a horse you would be allowed to eat because it's illegal. Well, kind of in the United States it's pretty much legal to eat almost any meat you happen to find, from rabbit to squirrel and even raccoons. But the laws are a little murkier when it comes to horses, varying from state to state. You see, while it's illegal to sell horse meat in all 50 states, many states say it's totally fine to slaughter your horse for meat. US law and nothing quite like it, but while it may be legal in places, it doesn't mean it's encouraged. In 2007, the last 3 horse slaughter houses in the US were officially shut down, making it all but impossible to buy horse meat or order it in a restaurant. And even today, animal rights activists are still pushing for stricter regulations, hoping to completely outlaw the slaughter and consumption of horses. Who knows whether they'll succeed, but I'm sure the horses are thrilled that people in Congress are talking about them again. Number 6. Vegemite. Australians rejoice. We're about to discuss what may just be one of the most divisive foods on earth. But is it banned in the United States? Well, that's a claim that's been going around since 2006. But it's not entirely true. In 2006, an Australian newspaper claimed that Vegemite had been banned in the United States, but it didn't just end there. The story went on to suggest that Australians entering the country were being searched for the illicit substance. Apparently, Vegemite contains folate, which is an adhesive used in many products in the United States. So, the claims of a ban didn't make sense. However, it is true that you may not be able to taste the product in the United States unless you really seek it out, since its invention Vegemite hasn't been popular in the US, mostly because of its overly bitter taste. However, if you're somebody who's able to seek out a store that stocks imported items, you may just be in luck. Or if you're somebody that lives with the rest of US in the present day, you could just order some online. You know, either way, just be sure to ask an Australian for tips on how to correctly consume Vegemite. Apparently, there's a way to make it taste great, but as far as I'm concerned, it's a total myth. Number 5. Queen Conch. Yeah, it's number 5 on this list, but Queen Conch is number 1 on my mental list of best band names in this case. The Queen Conch is a curious little sea creature that in some cultures is recognized as delicacy, but not in the United States of America. If you're a foodie visiting the Caribbean, you're probably going to encounter the Queen Conch at some point. After all, it's one of the most popular delicacies in the region, and at one time, it was also pretty popular in the Florida Keys. Not anymore though. Pre-1970s, the Queen Conch was so popular that it had created a whole industry in the form of conch fisheries. But by the 1970s, that same industry collapsed due to overfishing, a common problem for many in the fishing industry. Too many hooks, not enough fish. That dramatic collapse of an entire industry forced Florida officials to take immediate and drastic action. They ordered a complete ban on the commercial or recreation harvest of Queen Conch in the state. So, if you happen to be looking to get a bite of Queen Catch, you might want to hop a plane to the Caribbean, because you're sure as heck not gonna taste it in the United States. Number 4. Twas Cheese. If you're lactose intolerant, you may want to look away now. If you think regular cheese is bad, just wait until you see the Twas Cheese, a dairy product so risky that it gave the USDA a heck of a lot of anxiety. According to cheese experts, yeah, those do exist. Twas Cheese is basically the ambassador of the stinky French cheese. This person goes on to describe this smell as like your 15-year-old son's socks after a baseball game, but in a nice way. Yeah, sure, while Twas Cheese is beloved in France and other European regions, it's totally banned in the USA. That's because Twas Cheese is an unpasteurized raw milk cheese that's less than 60 days old, which creates a lot of concerns in the USDA. According to them, dairy products like this could easily be infected with listeria, and if that's the case, you're looking at a pretty awful outbreak of a bacterial illness. That isn't fun if you think lactose intolerance is rough. Some companies import some FDA-approved pasteurized applause, which apparently comes close to the original taste and disgusting sounding smell of the cheese. But if you're a cheese lover looking to sample the ultimate stinky cheese, you're out of luck unless you're willing to travel halfway around the world to taste some sweaty socks melon cheese, whatever floats your boat, man. Number 3. Swan. Humans eat all manner of birds: chicken, duck, pigeon. If you're fancy and are rich anyway, but there's one bird that seems to be off limits to just about everybody: swan, which is interesting considering swans are jerks and by far the worst birds on the planet. Still, swans can be found in temperate climates all over the world, from the US to the UK and even farther afield. So, if they're so readily available and nobody likes them, why are they not on the menu? Well, the answer is, they're an endangered species, or at least that's the reason in the United States. If you happen to live in the UK, there's a more interesting reason. The Queen kind of owns them all, whether or not she ever actually eats one. Well, that's just something we'll never know. But if you're an American, it doesn't matter anyway, because you're just straight up never gonna eat a swan again. Swans are the worst birds on the planet, so it's fascinating that they're not more readily eaten. But hey, if they're endangered, they deserve to be protected to survive, even if they are ungrateful, hyper, aggressive and generally unpleasant to encounter in just about every single situation imaginable. But hey, no hard feelings. Number 2. Flamin Hot Cheetos. Okay, so Flamin Hot Cheetos aren't necessarily banned. I mean, you can still find them if you're really craving some spicy, cheesy goodness. But how easy they are to find depends very much on where you live, or more specifically where you go. My God, since 2012 some school districts in California, New Mexico, and Illinois have banned Flamin Hot Cheetos entirely. The reason, they're apparently not nutritious, which, let's be honest, is obvious, and some believe they may create a brain response similar to what is seen in individuals who are addicted to elect substances, which is kind of a stretch. But hey, these are people who work on behalf of schools, and as we all know, you can't get a job like that if you're stupid, right? Right, okay, maybe I'm wrong about that, but still, it's not a total ban, and there's a reason for that. The FDA just doesn't want to get involved. After all, it's kind of an unwinnable situation. You don't want to ban a snack food that everybody with half a brain knows isn't healthy, but you also don't want to undermine the school boards who allegedly bribe you to make questionable decisions. It's all one big endless loop, a dilemma. Number 1. Silver Dragees. Did you know that it's actually illegal to add silver to your food? In 1906, silver was officially banned as a food coloring additive. However, it's still perfectly legal to use silver drudges as food decorations so long as you don't actually consume them. Try and make sense of that one. Silver Dodges is the official name of those little bead-like silver sparkles you usually put on top of cupcakes and other baked treats. But according to the FDA regulations, they're totally fine for decoration, just not consumption, because as it turns out, these tiny beads are coated in genuine silver, and when they became popular in the 1970s, the FDA just couldn't seem to shut them down. So, they compromised by saying they're fine to use. They just can't be eaten, which is a little like saying, you can paint with all the colors, but people can never look at the finished work of art. However, a lawsuit in 2003 actually ended with the total ban of silver judges in California, after they were proven to potentially cause Algeria, a condition that turns the skin gray. Of course, that only happens if you consume an unthinkable amount of silver. So, just don't pop silver judges like they're Tic Tacs, and you should be perfectly fine. Have you tasted any of these forbidden foods? What did you think of them? Let us know in the comments. See you next time.